All right. So now that we have talked about finding critical points, we're now going to talk about the first basic rule of deriving functions. So the question reads, what is the derivative of 1x squared? So before we even begin the question, there are around 3 basic rules of deriving. There's the chain rule, actually there's 4. There's the chain rule, the power rule, the product rule, and the quotient rule. So in our specific example, we're going to use the power rule to find the derivative of this function. So let's define this function first. So let's say that f of x equals 1 over x squared. Okay. Brackets. Cool. So we have defined our function of f of x equal 1 over x squared. Okay. So the power rule suggests to us that the derivative of any variable with a power on it can be described as such. So let's say that f of x equals x to the power of n. Okay. So if our f of x equals that, then f prime of x equals n times x to the power of n minus 1. Okay, so this is what the power rule describes. If our function is of the form x to the power of n, then our derivative is taking that exponent down and subtracting the exponent by 1. So that is our derivative. So going to our question in specifics, so we have f of x equals 1 over x squared, right? We could alternatively describe 1 over x squared as x to the power of negative 2. This and this are equivalent to each other. So now we're going to apply our power rule. So now the f prime of x, we're going to take this negative exponent, as you guys can see here, we're going to move it down as a constant multiplying this variable. We're going to write our variable, and we're going to say negative 2 minus 1. And the final function is negative 2 times x to the power of negative 3, and I'll write it back in original form, which is this. So this is the derivative of our function f of x. So the junior tutor basically wrote the same solution as I did, and he got the same, or they got the same correct answer. So this is the correct answer. Good job. Cool. All right, moving along.